Welcome to Pollspeak.com's second video, Pollstalker Basics. Pollstalker is a tool that lets you run various reports on different polls and ballots for college sports. You can get there from anywhere on Pollspeak.com by going to the main drop-down menu and clicking on the Pollstalker button. Once you're there, you'll see there's a new menu that shows up on the left-hand side that lets you run three types of reports: a full report, a team report, and a poll report. Before we get into those different types of reports, though, I'd like to talk about the two main types of full reports. There is a ballot report, and there's a compiled report. And you usually can find those under the poll drop-down menu. BCS plus AP rankings is what's called a compiled report. What that means is that if you click on poll report, you can see this bottom drop-down menu says poll. And what it allows you to do is see all the different elements of the BCS rankings as well as the AP poll compared to each other. So it's not showing how individuals are voting, it's showing how the polls as a whole are voting, and then lets you compare them to each other. On the other hand, if I change the poll to AP ballots, I can see now that this menu is changed from poll to voter. And if I click on the drop-down menu, I can see all the different voters in the AP poll. This allows me to see each voter's ballot and compare them to each other. Okay, let's start out by running a full report on the AP ballots. So I choose full report, I make sure I'm on AP ballots, and then I click Run Report. Here comes our full report on the AP ballots. It tells you right up here, full report, and it tells you what week we're in, week 1, which is still the preseason, and when this was last updated. Our first section says all number ones. What that means is it's showing me everybody who voted a specific team number 1. And you can see a list right here. So 36 people voted Oklahoma number 1, and then if I put my cursor over the 36, it shows me who those 36 people are. 17 people voted Alabama number 1. 4 people voted Oregon number 1, 2 people Boise State, and 1 person voted LSU number 1. Also, when that pop-up comes up, I can move my cursor over any of those people's names and then click on them to see their ballot. So let's take a look at who voted LSU number 1, Kirk Bowles, and I could click on him, and it brings up his ballot. As it tells you right here, this is now running a voter report for you on Kirk Bowles and the week number and when it was last updated. So this is the same thing as, by clicking on that person's name, it was the same thing as coming to the left menu and choosing Voter Report and then clicking Run Report on Kirk Bowles. But you don't have to use this left menu. You can navigate around just by going around and clicking on the different things you see. So for example, if I were to click on Oklahoma, it would be the same thing as running a team report and then choosing Oklahoma in the team drop-down menu. Okay, so the first thing you see here for Kirk Bowles is that he works for the Austin American-Statesman, which is a newspaper in Austin, Texas. Then a box comes up that asks you to rate him. You can call him a good voter or a bad voter. You're only allowed to choose one each week, so choose wisely. I don't think Kirk will mind if we call him a good voter. Once you pick him as a good voter, it comes up and shows you how the voting is going. So right now, 6 people have called him a good voter and 7 people have called him a bad voter. But he's not the lead in either category. Down here it tells you who are the leads for both good voter and bad voter. Next, what you have is his actual ballot. So you can see here listed from 1 to 25 who he ranked. So as we know, he put LSU number 1, Utah number 25, and then it shows you everybody in between. You also see a couple of colors. LSU is highlighted in red. That's because it's considered an extreme vote. That means nobody voted higher than him. And then Virginia is colored yellow because it's near extreme. That means in this case a couple of people voted Virginia Tech lower than he did. And just like you could before, you can move your mouse around and you can see, for example, everybody that agreed with him that Oklahoma was number 2. There were 13 people. Or how many people rated TCU higher than him. Or how many people rated Oregon lower than him. And once again, you can highlight any of these people and then you can click on them to see their ballots. Now, as you can see, since you already chose somebody as a good voter, you can only have an option of voting the next person as a bad voter. Once you pick one good person and one bad person, then you'll no longer be able to vote, and you'll only see ratings when you look at people's ballots. I'm not going to vote anybody bad here, but you can do that for yourself. And then also, like I said, if I wanted to, I could click on a team name and I can see how everybody ranked Alabama. And here's a list of everybody who voted in the AP poll and how they ranked Alabama, as well as a summary at the bottom showing who's the best ranking, worst ranking, most common ranking, and what the average is. Another thing I should mention, that when you're looking at any table like this, which is Anthony Gimeno's ballot, you can sort by any of these headers. So, for example, if I click on the team header, it's going to go ahead and sort alphabetically by team. So you can see it's now alphabetical. If I click on team again, it'll do a reverse sort. And you can do that on any table in Pollspeak. Okay, before we wrap things up with basics here, I would just like to take a look at the other type of report, the compiled report. So I'm going to choose the BCS plus AP rankings. And you can see it looks very similar to the AP ballots that we were looking at before. You don't see any extreme voters because there aren't enough voters to rank them as extreme or near extreme, because we're not really looking at voters here. We're just looking at the different polls. You can see that two people, although not really two people, two polls ranked Oklahoma #1. And you could see that was in the AP poll and the USA Today coaches poll. One ranked Auburn #1, that was Billingsley, which is a computer ranking used in the BCS, and one ranked Alabama #1, which is Sagarin. You then once again have an alphabetical list of all the different teams that were ranked this week. If you look at the poll report, you can see here that instead of voter names, we now have all the different components of the BCS plus the AP poll. One more thing I'll just point out for those of you that haven't visited the new Pollspeak yet, we now have these team pages that you can go to. So for example, if I go to the Georgia team page, I can see both the AP ballots and the BCS plus AP compiled report in one place. So if I'm a Georgia fan, I can just go right here each week and see all the information about Georgia that I want. Here's all the different BCS components that have come out. Not all of them have come out yet because this is the preseason. And then here's all the AP ballots and how each person ranked Georgia. And just like in Pollstalker, we have the summaries at the bottom that show the best ranking, worst ranking, most common ranking, and the average. You can also switch quickly to see men's basketball rankings, women's basketball rankings, and baseball rankings, all for the Georgia Bulldogs. That's it for Pollstalker Basics. Look out for our next video, which will go into some advanced techniques using Pollstalker.